So your state, you're talking about the sanctity of life. Your state had one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the country, according to the CDC, up until about 2021. Arkansas is one of the few states that hasn't extended postpartum care for mothers. Why don't you want those moms to get care for a full 12 months, as is being offered, instead of just 60 days?
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with the premise of your question, saying that I don't want that. I certainly want us to do everything that we can to help during pregnancy and well after a child is born.
In Arkansas, abortion rights groups collected over 101,000 signatures, enough to qualify to get an abortion rights measure on the November ballot. Arkansas, under far-right Republican Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, currently has some of the most restrictive abortion policies in the nation, with a complete ban with quote-unquote very limited exceptions. But even for a state in the Deep South, a state that most would assume is full of far-right individuals, the people were able to petition for the opportunity to vote on an abortion rights amendment in November. The amendment would enshrine access to abortion care in the state constitution, removing the state's authority to prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion services under any circumstances within 18 weeks of pregnancy. It would also protect abortion access beyond the 18-week mark in cases involving rape and/or incest, and it would permit abortion in cases where the mother's life is in danger or where there are fatal fetal anomalies. The effort was conducted by a group called Arkansans for Limited Government. They exceeded the number of required signatures they needed to get the measure on the ballot, and they were able to get signatures from the required minimum 50 counties out of Arkansas's 75 counties. In a statement, Lauren Cowles, the group's executive director, said this: "Right now, Arkansas is the most dangerous place in the country to be pregnant. Not only does Arkansas have the highest maternal mortality rate in the nation, nearly half of Arkansas counties are maternity healthcare deserts, meaning they have no obstetric providers or options for delivery care. Arkansas deserves better than that." Similar efforts to enshrine abortion rights in state constitutions have already been successful in other states: Colorado, Maryland, Florida, South Dakota, Nevada, and New York. In Arkansas, along with Arizona, Missouri, Nebraska, and Montana, the signatures are just the first step in getting the measure on the ballot in November. And this is a huge success for abortion rights activists and supporters, but it doesn't mean that the Arkansas GOP will not fight back. And getting those 100K signatures in the first place in what's been called the most pro-life state in America wasn't easy. Still, they got it done, which could be seen as an indication that despite how red a state government is, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of its residents are just as red. And thank goodness. The GOP recently released its very Project 2025 party platform, and for any left-leaning or even centrist individual, it's pretty upsetting to read. But the Republicans are backing off from the abortion issue in a way that they haven't in decades. No, they didn't abandon their long-held belief that not just abortion, but also contraception and in vitro fertilization should be outright banned across the country. Instead, they're saying that this is a states' rights issue, so the federal government doesn't need to take a firm stance on it. Of course, their plan is to influence states' decisions on the matter instead. Hopefully no one is fooled by this apparent platform change-up, but what this tells us is that the GOP is woefully aware of the fact that most Americans support abortion rights and women's rights to health care. It feels so dystopian just saying that much. They know that women across the country are livid, that we lost our rights thanks to right-wing evangelical efforts. They know that this will be a major issue driving women to the polls in November, so they're doing what they've always done. Instead of winning by supporting popular platforms, they're going to try and trick people into voting for their platform by saying one thing and doing another. and we've already seen what's happened since the very right-leaning Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. States across the country immediately implemented the most restrictive bans on women's health care than we have seen in decades, to the point that many women across the country, including myself, might not be able to have kids because of it. I don't have time to wait for my Texas government to start making sense to me, and moving is not currently an option for me. The fact that I have to assert on the internet that women should have rights to healthcare is absurd, especially in a country that calls itself the greatest in the world, especially in a country that cannot stop talking about how free its citizens are. My entire life was disrupted by people who believe in things that I have never believed in, and yes, I'm livid over it, and yes, I will be voting accordingly. This is a great time to remind people that in November, you're not just voting for the President of the United States. You're voting for a lot more than just that. And it's often those things further down the ballot, the state and local leaders and measures that will most directly affect you and your loved ones. It all matters. Even if you can't stomach the idea of voting for either Trump or Biden, you would still do well to show up in November. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.